Maximum lateral Gs, 0.2, maybe. Terminal velocity, 22 miles an hour. Power to weight ratio, concerning. After decades of racing, my analytical approach remains the same whether I'm evaluating a GT4 race car or this. This is the Hiboy MAX Pro electric scooter. 650 watts of pure, well, let's not get carried away, but for well under $1,000, it promises supercar range in the scooter world, a claimed 46 miles on a single charge. I've spent a lot of time running around racing paddocks on scooters, and in this episode, we're going to find out whether this Hiboy deserves a spot in our race transporter or if it belongs with the catering equipment. What's it like? Buckle up, my friends. Let's go for a ride. I'm your host, Brian Max, racer, lover of driving fast, fun things, and on this channel, you get reviews for drivers from drivers. A scooter is something different for this channel, to be fair, but I've spent the last several months riding around a Honda Motocompacto at racing events, so I actually have some experience with electric scooters. And this Hiboy MAX Pro is something a little bit different than that Motocompacto, and I'm actually kind of curious. And before we get into what this is like to ride, let's have a look at it in a little more depth. And before we get into it, let's do something I like to call keeping my lawyer employed, and this is a bit of a disclaimer. Hiboy sent me this MAX Pro to keep. They certainly haven't paid me to say nice things, just to say things. There's also an affiliate deal where I get a small commission if you use the promo code BrianMax for 7% off. Basically, if you buy one because of me, I make money to almost cover the electricity it took to charge the scooter for this review. Racing doesn't pay like it used to, my friends. This MAX Pro is Hiboy's premium offering, providing best-in-class range and ride quality. Construction starts with an aircraft-grade aluminum frame. There's a 650-watt max power rated at 500 watts rear-mounted hub motor. Power output is, get this, 0.87 horsepower. Battery is a lithium-ion 48-volt with 720 watt-hours of capacity. Maximum range is 46.6 miles or 75 kilometers. Top speed's 22 miles an hour. There's a kickstart requirement, so you have to get this going up to 3.1 miles an hour before the throttle engages. There are 3 different ride modes: Eco, which tops out at 11 miles an hour, Drive tops out at 16 miles an hour, and Sport, that tops out at 22 miles an hour. And this does have cruise control. There's actually suspension front and rear. Wheels and tires are 11s, and they have a split wheel design. Brakes are electronic at the front, mechanical at the rear, and the brakes are integrated into both brake levers. This has the ability to climb a 20% grade, which is kind of cool because this scooter can handle hills that would make a Beetle owner create a YouTube channel just to brag about it. It's IPX4 rated for water resistance. Max load is 265 pounds. Curb weight is 51 pounds, and I think that's why they call this the MAX Pro, because you'll definitely feel the max in your biceps when carrying it upstairs. And of course, this has an app, and the Hiboy app will allow you to change riding parameters, speed limits, as well as cruise control settings. Did you know that 80% of you are not subscribed? Yes, it's true. 80% of you are not subscribed. I checked the data. So if you like the content on this channel, do me a solid, hit that subscribe button, make sure you like this. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including our very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Now back to your regularly scheduled episode. Ergonomically, let's start with the unlimited headroom. That's kind of cool, but no, seriously, what we're faced with is a wide handlebar with a throttle control on the right and dual brake levers, and those brake levers control both the front and rear brakes at the same time. The brake levers are easy to reach, and if I were to ride this on a regular basis, I would definitely be changing the brake levers to something more aggressive, given that I've got a lot of BMX and mountain bike experience. As for the grips, I am kind of astonished that on a scooter that costs several $100s, they've put grips on here that seem to cost 5 cents. Not a big fan. And again, if I were to ride this on a daily basis, I would definitely be changing these grips. The bell is an easy reach. The instrumentation is very easy to read, and we are in some bright sunlight right now. No trouble at all reading the speed. Not that it's entirely relevant because I'm judging the necessary speed for my riding based on visuals more than the speedometer display, that's for sure. But there's a Fantastic display here in terms of how much power I'm using, as well as how much battery is left. There's also a display for the ride modes. The platform itself, more than big enough for both of my size 10 Vans skate shoes. And I'm not exactly standing side by side. I'm more like in my snowboard riding position with my left foot forward, and I'm quite comfortable here. But as you can see, this folds down into a relatively compact form. It's exceptionally easy to fold the handlebar down, clip it to that rear fender, and then you've got a compact scooter that you can load into almost any kind of vehicle. It's pretty easy that way. However, this thing does weigh 50 pounds, and that weight doesn't disappear when those handlebars are folded down, that's for sure. In terms of acceleration, the first thing I have to note, unlike the Honda Motocompacto, which will take off from a stop with the throttle, this does not in any of the ride modes. So what we have to do is actually push off, and then we are able to accelerate. 0 to maximum velocity seems to take about as long as it takes to wait through a suburban traffic light. Good thing is, we are talking about an electric motor, so throttle response is instantaneous. As slow as it is relative to a lot of the fast cars that we drive on this channel, acceleration is very, very linear. Ooh, I'm seeing 38 kilometers an hour downhill. This is wild. And when it comes to handling, I have a lot to talk about. Not from riding around the Motocompacto, not from a racing perspective, but actually a BMX perspective. Raced BMX bicycles for a long time, ridden them for a long time, downhill mountain bikes. So I've got a sense of bicycle dynamics, and this is a two-wheeled vehicle, so that's where my frame of reference comes in. And the thing is, with these 11-inch wheels and tires, there's not much of a gyroscopic effect to keep this thing stable, so you kind of got to stay on top of it. Now, we do have some quick steering. This has got a very steep head tube angle, and it is very quick. Now, one thing that is going on is there is a limited amount of steering angle, but I actually can't find the limits when I'm riding. When I'm maneuvering this around in my basement or outside, it does seem limited, but when I'm riding it, no, the limitation's actually not a problem. The suspension absorbs all kinds of bumps, and there's enough compliance in the tire as well to give this a very comfortable ride, even on rough surfaces. In terms of cornering, well, we gotta lean into this a little bit, and I am certainly not interested in finding out what the max G load is that I can put into this, because, you know, I don't want to break another wrist on a two-wheeled vehicle. But it corners fairly easily, and depending on the road surface, you can carry a decent amount of speed through those corners. But I'd love to find a more aggressive tire here. I guess I'm used to high-end bicycle tires and certainly high-end car tires, and I'd like something a little bit more aggressive. And we have to talk about braking. I heard about this whole braking idea with an electronic brake at the front and a mechanical brake at the rear, and what I found is that this thing stops fairly quickly and in a linear kind of fashion. It never has locked up on me. I have not ridden this in the rain, that's for sure. And we've actually had some snow, and I was not interested in riding in some snow. But I'm very impressed with the braking, and it's ultimately very, very safe. No, it's not even possible to lock up that front wheel no matter what I do. That is a clever design. How they've engineered that to avoid lockup is kind of cool. And to be fair, if I could lock that rear brake, I'd have a heck of a lot more fun, and there's probably a way to do that. I might have to look into that. Compared to the Motocompacto I ride around, that has no suspension whatsoever, no compliance in the tire either. And this Hiboy MAX Pro with the suspension and some compliance in the tire is very comfortable. How do you spec yours? Well, indeed, there are some options. You are looking at the Hiboy MAX Pro. Base price, and as tested in the US, is $799. Here in Canada, it's $899. And in terms of options, those things you need to consider are the seat option. For one thing, there is a lock available from Hiboy, which will protect your valuable investment, and the all-important phone holder. I suppose that goes on the handlebars, but we're not using that today because I don't want to be distracted while I'm riding. Don't forget the promo code BrianMax saves you 7% on your purchase of a Hiboy MAX Pro, and it won't change your life, but it might help justify the purchase to your significant other better than my standard approach of, but I need it for work. I've spent more on helmet paint jobs than that promo code offers, but I suppose that shows you the financial wisdom that pursuing motorsports offers. Fun fact, at this price point, you're paying about $15 per pound a scooter, which is actually a better value to weight ratio than many exotic cars that run closer to $1,000 a pound. One bonus is that for less than a cost of a speeding ticket, you get a vehicle that makes it physically impossible to break any speed limit laws. So where does my analysis of this decidedly non-motorsport mode of transportation leave us? Well, I think this Hiboy MAX Pro actually delivers some robust performance metrics for its category. Compared to my Honda Motocompacto, this MAX Pro offers superior range, speed, and comfort given its suspension, critical factors for long days running around paddocks. What the Honda has in terms of its compact design and brand pedigree, it loses in practical utility. And for me, the engineering here is surprisingly impressive. Dual suspension, split hub wheel design, integrated braking that would make some motorcycle engineers take notes. Sure, I'm not a fan of the grips or the brake levers, but I could easily resolve that with a quick trip into the aftermarket. As a driver who analyzes vehicle dynamics, I can tell you this Hiboy MAX Pro handles its limited performance envelope with remarkable competence. It's a specific tool for a specific job, much like a racing car. Just don't expect me to be delivering your Uber Eats order anytime soon, and don't forget, with that promo code BrianMax for 7% off, you might just save enough money to leave a decent tip. Thanks for hanging out with me today and having a look at this Hiboy MAX Pro electric scooter. Hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you're not new, you know what to do. Smash the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, like this, and as always, sharing is caring. So please share this with your friends, especially on Reddit, because on Reddit, they really need to see reviews for drivers from drivers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to support the channel, please hit up our merch store. Links here, links below. Lots of great stuff for driving enthusiasts like us, including a very popular line of Save the Manuals merch. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you again next time. And remember, cars nor electric scooters understeer by themselves, not even Hiboy MAX Pros. And since you've hung around this long, we'll have a look at my episode about the Honda Motocompacto. That was an early review, and I didn't have a lot of seat time at that point, but I've gotten to know and love the Motocompacto, and I think you might find that episode an interesting contrast relative to this Hiboy MAX Pro. And this Hiboy MAX Pro definitely beats it in terms of range and comfort, and this might just find its way into our race transporter. You never know.